Guys, when I first started seeing clips from this interview going viral on the internet, I thought this was some type of joke or some type of like AI recreation of Michael Knowles and Nala Ray. Because I thought to myself, surely there is no way the real Michael Knowles interviewed Nala Ray and it ended up like this. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you the reason why nobody takes Christians or the Daily Wire seriously in this country anymore. I just lost what little respect I had left for Mr. Knowles in the department of not being a total and complete moron. Christians, take a note. This is why all the other religions point and laugh at Christians and say that Christianity is the weakest religion. Because when we have fools like Mr. Knowles who co-sign this bimbo, that makes us look extremely weak. Now, just in case anybody was wondering, I do have receipts to back up everything that I'm going to rebut in this video. However, I'm not going to include those receipts in this video, otherwise it will be such a long video that it'll take forever. I'm not making a 3-hour long video on this, okay? We're going to break it up into chunks because Pearl Davis did a whole rebuttal video to this video, but we're going to get into that later. So before we get started, guys, make sure you leave a like on this video and subscribe to this channel because I just spent about 8 to 12 hours of research on this video. So yeah, show me some love.
I was a pastor's kid. It started slow. I started OnlyFans. I made like $85,000 the first month.
What was it about you that was able to make $1 million a year?
My biggest thing that I sold was that I'm multiple girls. I put all of that energy into creating Nala.
How much money do you have at this point?
9 million. My parents kind of disowned me.
That sounds catastrophic.
Sorry. I've never really dove into that feeling.
Yeah.
Never talked about this. What's the point of all this money when I don't have feelings?
Is that the moment where you say, all right, I got to start getting out of this thing?
I was sobbing. I was looking at my fireplace. I grabbed the Bible. I was like, God, I need an answer now. I truly need an answer now. And he gave me an answer.
What did he say?
Yeah, from the introduction, it seems like it might have actually been a productive debate or interview or whatever this was supposed to be, but don't let the fine veneer fool you, for there is a very rusted and broken engine underneath that very nice paint job. I'd also like to point out how Mr. Knowles is calling her the prodigal daughter. Like, are you serious, dude? Like, she's a prodigy? Like, she accomplished something amazing? No, Mr. Knowles, you are a fool, and I will explain why.
One of the underappreciated aspects of temptation is that it's very tempting. Money, sex, fame. My guest today is someone who has had all of those things in spades and then came to regret it and totally cut it all off.
All right, Mr. Knowles, I'm going to have to stop you right there because you have already said something that is false. Now, I'm going to try and keep this short, but basically, this girl, Nala Ray, has been grifting off of turning Christian. She got baptized in December. She made her OnlyFans. She never deleted any of her OnlyFans content. She made it free. Free. You could subscribe to her OnlyFans for free. And then a month after she got baptized, she upped it to, I think it was like $6 or $7 a month. And then each bi-weekly period after that, she upped it by $1 per month. And she has continued charging for her OnlyFans all the way up until 24 hours before this interview released on YouTube. And while, yes, she has deactivated her account, if she logs back in within the next 30 to 90 days, she can just turn her account back on like nothing ever happened. And the reason that I say that this is what she is doing and that she's actually hasn't quit for good now is because she's done this before. This is like the third or the fourth time where she's deactivated her account because Christians have called her out on her BS, and she just deactivates her account until the drama blows over, and then she turns it back on and starts collecting money again. So yeah, we just need to get that correct. Mr. Knowles, she was charging for her OnlyFans up until 24 hours until this interview premiered, and she was baptized in December.
So the beginning started about 5 years ago, if we're talking about going back to the beginning of when I started.
Yeah, just look at that right there. Look at that right there. That simpery behavior. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the Daily Wire is full of simps. They called her a content creator. What a euphemism. Like, can we call her what she is? Like, can we just please be honest here and call a prostitute a prostitute? Because when I see a fish, I'm going to call it a fish. And when I see a prostitute, I'm going to call it a prostitute. Because I have eyes and they work. And it's this blue-pilled, beta male, cuck simp behavior that is the reason that these women are able, these predatory women like Nala Ray are able to make millions of dollars off of lonely, foolish men.
Who has every time I go to the dentist, they make my mouth bleed because I go once every 5 years, and then they yell at me for not flossing properly. And,
Thanks.
but you had a good,
I wanted to be that person
you're the
that
one
yelled
person,
at others.
A lot of control.
Yeah, but I'm very interested in the anatomy of human body and like.
Yeah, this wasn't really a very important clip to include. However, I did want to include it because it is the beginning of a pattern that you're going to start seeing with this girl and Mr. Knowles. However, it starts with Mr. Knowles saying something that is true and that she is controlling, but he just kind of like glosses over that and forgets that it ever happened. So that's why I wanted to include it, was so that everyone knew that this happened.
So you were saying you were taken by the body and then led into this perversion.
Yes. It started slow, kind of, but in that me being lost. So I was in that job of orthopedics for 2.5 years, going on 3. It was when I got the opportunity to start Only. And it was right after COVID had just gotten out. Like, it was still like a mystery kind of, but we were hearing it online. I was hearing about TikTok and people were kind of making fun of it, but it hadn't like shut everything down yet. So this was super early 2020, like January. I had gotten reached out to by someone on social media, and I was not big on social media at any manner.
You just had a personal...
Just a personal fitness
Instagram
page,
or something?
like I was a nobody pretty much, like very low following, didn't have a Twitter, didn't have like a Snapchat, didn't have a Facebook.
But it was fitness.
Fitness.
So there's also that time, you're into the orthopedics, you're into fitness.
I am.
Okay.
I really love fitness. I've been working out since I was like 18. Before my brother went off to the Air Force, I started working out with him in the gym, and it was just awesome. And then I carried all that over after he left for the Air Force.
I worked out once.
Once?
Didn't take.
You didn't like it?
No, not for me, no.
I enjoy pushing yourself. I enjoy pain in that manner because I have a hard time before I met Christ, I have a hard time feeling things. I really do. And
what do you mean by that?
I feel numb. I felt numb. It's really difficult it was difficult for me to feel things like sadness. Like I felt like I never cried.
Did everybody catch that right there? That Freudian slip where she said, "I feel numb"? Yeah, and you'll notice she had to correct herself multiple times throughout the end of that clip. And that's why I left it that long, so that everyone could see what led up to this and how I'm going to start laying out pieces of evidence that start to prove that she is a liar. She is a pathological liar. She is a very good liar. Do not be fooled by her lies. These types of women are such great liars that you will never have any idea half the stuff they were lying about. They are the Olympic gold medal champions of being liars, okay? They are professional liars. Their entire job is lying to people. And because they are so good at lying, that's why you have to be very vigilant to find enough clues to be able to prove that they're lying. However, if you also have facts that disprove their lie, then, that also can help. But there are multiple ways to prove a liar.
But when you were growing up, were your siblings like you in the sense that they didn't? No.
No.
So you were different.
A little different, but I'm also the middle child. So I feel like the middle child is just odd, just an oddball. Yeah. So whether that be due to like no love or whatever that is. It's not that my parents didn't love me. They loved me in their own way. But it was like, do you know about like the love languages?
A little bit.
Okay.
I always thought of myself as a Casanova, but I don't know the specific
What's
jargon.
that definition?
Well, you know, I'm of Italian descent.
Me too.
Are you?
Mhm.
That's why we get along.
Yes.
But when you say love languages, you're referring to a technical kind of thing?
Yeah, so there's like equivalently like 5 love languages, like physical touch, acts of service, gifts, words of affection, and there's one more, quality time.
For mine, it's food for me.
I'm absolutely struck speechless that Mr. Knowles is over here discussing paganism as if it is some type of science. Like, I'm sorry, Mr. Knowles. I thought Catholics were supposed to oppose paganism, not indulging in the delusions of paganism. Like, I can't believe he is so ignorant on paganism that he doesn't understand that this love languages crap is like astrological star signs or whatever. And it's all from paganism. This is all barbarism. That's all it is. It's just barbaric religious practices before people believed in one God. We have much more sophisticated religious ideas now, Mr. Knowles. You should know that. You're supposed to be one of those people. And on the last point of Mr. Knowles calling himself a Casanova, like either he does not know what a Casanova is, like he does not understand the definition of that word, or he is delusional. Because as far as I understand the definition of a Casanova, Mr. Knowles is definitely not a Casanova. He might like to think of himself as one, but I like to think of myself as a unicorn that can shit your name in stars. So there's that.
I don't feel as though they loved me in the way that I feel loved.
Didn't give you a hug.
My mom was a very like more stern disciplinarian. She's so sweet, but it's not like she's not like a hugger or anything like at all, like doesn't touch kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then my dad being like respectful because I'm a woman, you know, doesn't do that at all, like will not touch like that. So, and I was like, okay, I get it, but like I just need love, you know?
So what Mr. Knowles basically discovers here, but he ignores and pretends like he didn't discover, is the fact that she is extremely needy. She needs a lot of attention. She is what I would call an attention whore, because I mean, she quite literally made a career off of getting attention. Like that's what an OnlyFans model is. That's what they do. They lie about what they are to get attention. And like, he didn't even think to ask her, do you think that you might have been asking for too much attention from your parents? Because, you know, they had 3 other children. And not only that, like you said earlier, your dad lost his job and had to become a preacher to support the family. So, you know, they were probably like pretty stressed on, you know, taking care of the whole family and making sure they could provide for everybody. But no, Mr. Knowles just digs down far enough until he finds that there is a giant ugly monster sitting down there. And then you know what he does? He just turns around and walks the other way like, nope, I didn't see that.
Charity is the most important virtue, but charity begins at home.
Love. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely. So I don't know anything about running a family, so I can't imagine how difficult it could have been, for sure. I'm not judging my parents in any manner. I think they did the best they could, truly. I'm not blaming them or anyone for my actions at all. It was completely my choice. We all have free will, don't we?
We do, though our will is conditioned by our circumstances. And our
I agree
education.
with that completely. When I watched your last podcast on that, I was like, wow, speak truth.
I know, it's not a very politically correct view now, because it's not a very liberal view.
Yeah.
And here we go with the beginning of the excuses. And my God, why are Christian conservative people just excuse machines for all of these whores or prostitutes or hookers, whatever you want to call it? These are women of the night. And it's funny too, because you could see the validation on her face when she basically tries to, you know, admit guilt for her own sins. And then Mr. Knowles decides to push the blame off to the environment and the other people around her and pretend like, no, it's actually not her fault that she made the choices that she made, when, you know, she had 3 other siblings and none of them ended up in porn. So obviously her parents didn't mess up that bad. And I just like to finish this off with if what you're saying has an OnlyFans model saying, wow, speak truth, then what you are saying probably is not the truth. Because the women that I have met that have made a career in this line of work are very, very far away from the truth. They live in denial of the truth. And that is if they even have the capability of perceiving the truth, because most of them have lied to themselves for so long that now they believe their own lies. So they're not even capable of discerning for themselves what the truth actually is, because their perception is so warped by their own lies. And that last part on the end, where Mr. Knowles says it's not a very correct point of view because it's a very liberal point of view. Mr. Knowles, this is where I lost all respect for you, sir. I cannot respect you after you said this, because you're telling me that when she attempts to take accountability for her actions, that's the liberal perspective. And you're telling me that the conservative perspective is to take her accountability for her actions and to push it off onto someone or something else that is not her, when no one else chose her actions other than her. Like, you mean to tell me the conservative perspective is the one that says your problems are not your own fault? Your problems are someone else's fault? When I thought the entire point of the conservative movement was that you're supposed to be your own problem solver, because your problems are your own fault and no one's coming to save you or fix them for you, so you got to learn to fix them yourself. But no. Surely Mr. Knowles can't be speaking in euphemisms of inverted truth. No, surely that must be me. Surely I must be the one who is seeing the world inverted from the reality that it actually is. Because, according to Mr. Knowles, I'm the liberal for saying that she should be accountable for her actions. Like, at this point, my mind just has the mental circus of like elephants and monkeys and tigers and all just walking across my mental throughout the rest of this interview, because I'm just like, wow, this is a joke, man. This is a freaking circus. The clowns are running the show here, people. This clown with her fake ass red hair and her fake ass eyelashes and her 3.5 pounds of makeup on her face alone is running the show here. Mr. Knowles is the whipped little simp beta cuck bitch that is just co-signing every bad decision this girl ever made.
And if you're not educated well on the topic, or who is at any age, you're not educated on everything, but you back up on things that you were kind of influenced by, like if you don't actively have a knowledge about it, you kind of kick in with, well, this is what I know, this is what I've experienced. That's how I kind of feel about it. And again, it's not blaming my parents in any manner. I'm very thankful for my parents, but
something
it
went
really
wrong.
Directed me, in a weird way, for sure. I really do believe that. I'm really happy that, I wouldn't take any of it back, because it still ended up shaping me into the person I am now. No matter what, like hurt, it's a beautiful thing.
You wouldn't take what back? Your actions or the way you were raised?
Both, actually.
Oh, but something went wrong. Something just went wrong. Oh, dearie me, Mr. Knowles. Something just went wrong. Really now. No effing shit, Sherlock. Something went wrong. You think maybe that something was her? You think maybe she just chose to rebel? And she literally says in this interview, at some point in here, that she is a rebellious individual at heart. That if you tell her not to do something, that she just wants to do it naturally. That she's just that type of rebellious. But Mr. Knowles can't ever call her out on her BS like that, because, oh no, he's just here to listen and to be preached to by this literal prostitute. And this is why everyone thinks the churches are a joke. This is why nobody takes the churches seriously anymore. You guys have prostitutes as preachers. Okay? Like, we all know Mary Magdalene was a prostitute before she became one of the disciples, but she spent some time repenting for her sins before she was allowed to start preaching. I really don't think Mary Magdalene, within 24 hours of being a prostitute, was in the church preaching. I don't think that happened that quickly. Also important to note in this clip that she states that she would not take back her actions, meaning she doesn't regret it at all. Like, if she had the choice to do it again or not, she would. And you're starting to see the beginning of these contradictions that she's going to make throughout this interview. And oh my God, Mr. Knowles, it gets so bad by the end of the interview that she's literally contradicted like half of everything that she said. It like this is I can't with this, guys. Like I can't with this simping, with this beta male blue pilled behavior. Like it makes my brain hurt. I don't understand how you can be so stupid that you can't see what's going on here. This girl is playing you like a fiddle, Michael. Wake up.
My actions leading up to only my actions on only. Of course, I'm ashamed of it. And I do want to be very clear about that. In no way, shape, or form should anyone go through that and be like, oh, I'll just get saved later, or I'll just get off after that, or who cares about what my reputation is later? You should absolutely care about who you are, who you're going to be. And I don't think people now being influenced by it understand the direct harm it will do to your mind, your body, and your soul.
So it sounds like you're saying you do regret it. You just...
Of course, the actions, absolutely. Would I take it back? No. And this is the reasoning. Because I feel like my testimony is very strong now. You know, in Paul in the Bible, or Saul, who turned to Paul in the Bible, was absolutely persecuting and killing Christians, you know, and holding the coat for people stoning the apostles,
yep.
Right? So he got radically changed on the road to Damascus, completely changed, you know, was blinded even, and regained his sight, but then radically got saved by God himself and changed and became a living, walking testimony to people who were just like him or so many others.
This dumbass fucking bimbo thinks she's Paul from the goddamn Bible. Are you fucking kidding me? Knowles, you didn't fucking check her on this, you bitch. I'm disappointed in you, Mr. Knowles. This is just pure narcissism. This whole interview was just a narcissistic rant from this woman. Like the whole 2.5 hour long interview that I had to slog through for you guys to be able to make this video was 90% this woman just blabbing on and on and on about nonsense that made no sense at all. It was just nonsense, literally. And Mr. Knowles just co-signing on every BS thing that she said. Just, yeah, and then every now and then offering excuses for her to take up for why she made such bad decisions. And of course, his excuses always involve blaming someone else or something else for her bad decisions. I'm so tired of this. Like, I cannot continue dealing with the type of people that cannot understand what's going on here. Like, I don't understand how you can be so ignorant you cannot see what's happening here. This is a literal marketing scam. This girl thinks she's a genius, but no, she's actually just a pawn in the system. But what's even funnier is that she's so good at what she does. She's all over here playing Mr. Knowles, and he doesn't even know it. He has no idea. And that's why she doesn't regret any of her actions, basically, even though she says she would regret her actions. You know, I'm not exactly sure what she was trying to say she regretted in there, because it was a word salad, and she kind of contradicted most, if not all of it. And I can't believe Mr. Knowles didn't catch like any of that. But just the unfiltered, raging narcissism that you can see at the end of that clip, how this woman has this like God complex inside her. She just thinks that she is the leader, and she's meant to lead. She's supposed to be the one telling everyone else how to live their lives. When it's like, no, you're the sinner. You're supposed to be the one in the back of the church learning from everyone. But no, Mr. Michael Knowles over here puts this woman up on a freaking pedestal and acts like she's a queen and just yas queen to everything she says. Pathetic. Ridiculous. This is why we don't take you guys seriously at the Daily Wire.
So you weren't, when you say you have insecurities about your looks, or had them then, it's not that you joined because you thought, I'm hot and I can make a buck. You're saying, I think I'm ugly or something.
I needed
And
to
I
be
could
noticed. Yeah. And a lot of people want to point that out about me, like, oh, you just want attention. Even now, I just want attention. I want God to have the attention, full and foremost. About anything that I say now, it's about him and not me anymore. And I love that. I'm so happy to have him take center stage and me be in the back with a clipboard,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
Here we go again with another excuse from the excuse machine known as Mr. Michael Knowles. And once again, he digs just deep enough to uncover the very ugly and brutal and dangerous monster that just once again turns around and walks away and washes his hands of the mess and goes, I saw nothing here. When you can clearly see that this girl has an attention addiction that is so insatiable that not even being a literal OnlyFans model was enough attention for her. Like, Mr. Knowles, did you ever stop and think that maybe this girl is the problem? Maybe her attention addiction was the reason her parents could never, like, do anything right for her, and the reason that she ended up in such a bad place in life when all the rest of her siblings actually ended up very well and all married and have children currently. And I'd like to point out her nice little analogy at the end, how she says she wants God to be at center stage now and she wants to be in the back with a clipboard. But typically, who are the people in the back with the clipboard versus who are the people on the stage? That's right. The people in the back with the clipboard are the ones calling the shots, making the calls, making all the real decisions that are happening. Meanwhile, the person on stage is just the one putting on the show. You see how I was talking about this girl's God complex and how it's like she thinks she's God, literally. Like she literally thinks God is the one that's supposed to be putting on the show for her, and she's supposed to be the one here calling the shots, making the decisions, telling everyone else how to live their lives. This is just pure, raging, unbridled narcissism, ladies and gentlemen, on full display. And Mr. Knowles just looks that monster dead in the eyes and turns right back around and says, I saw nothing. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole any further.
So you already had a falling out with your parents at this point? Before?
It wasn't as dramatic as the one when I started only, but I was not like, I was speaking to my dad, but we weren't like good. And my mom and I just like barely ever spoke. So her and I have never really had a good relationship, although I do hope that changes. We still don't have a good relationship, and I'm not quite sure why. But, you know, in my mind, I expected this change to be like the prodigal son returning, you know?
Yeah.
In my mind, I was like, I hope that's something like what it's like to return home whole, and not whole. He didn't come back whole. He came back broken, you know? And then he comes back to his home, you know, where he belongs, and got an amazing welcome. I'm not
had a
expecting
delicious
feast.
fatted calf. Yeah.
Yes. And I wanted that, but it did not happen at all. And it kind of broke my heart a little bit.
She claims that she's not sure why she doesn't have a good relationship with her mother, and she wants it to change. Well, have you ever considered that the reason that you don't have a good relationship with your mother is because you're still out here spreading lies about her on social media and all over the internet and all over everywhere, and you're still out here selling your body on the internet like a digital prostitute. But oh no, this woman has no idea why her mother she does not have a good relationship with her mother. I mean, I'm just absolutely baffled, just like Mr. Knowles. I have no idea. Couldn't have anything to do with her career choices, no. And again, you can see her narcissism complex just on full display here of she thinks that she's the prodigal son coming home when she comes home back to see her parents after all the years of not seeing them. And she's just like, oh, I'm the prodigal son. I'm going to come back and everyone's going to worship me like I've achieved this great thing. When it's like, what have you achieved? You sold your butthole on the internet. Okay, like you have no talent, you have no skills, you have not created anything unless you count adding to the destruction of society as creating something. Like this woman is a full-on prostitute and thought that she was going to come home and her family was going to treat her like a king. This is just peak delusion. And you can see how she's trying to weave the narrative that she is Paul from the Bible once again. And it's infuriating when there's people who are so full of themselves that they actually legitimately think that they're like as great as these great people. And she was all sad when she didn't get that like hero's welcome when she came home that she was expecting, because she thought she was Paul from the Bible.
Suffering is sanctifying because it joins us to the sufferings of Christ on the
It
cross.
does. Exactly. I just heard that yesterday too, and I could not be more just shaken by that. I was like, wow, when Christ was suffering on the cross, like he was able to forgive people who were killing him. And that was so beautiful. Like he wasn't rejoicing in the suffering, but thankful for it. And I was like, wow, you know, and he changed the world completely, changed the world. So
And created it.
yes. Yeah. So I want to be like that. And
again, you can see her narcissistic God complex on full display here, how she's comparing her trials and tribulations to that of Jesus. And she even said at the end, she wants to be like that. And while, you know, it's a good thing to say that you want to be like Jesus, I don't think she meant it in the way that most Christians meant it. You know, because as you can see throughout this interview, this girl kind of has a God complex where she just thinks that she is the top dog. She is just the hottest thing on the block. And Mr. Knowles is just sitting over here co-signing all this like a beta.
I'm just really excited for this new learning portion in my life because I thought I was a scholar, truly. I really did.
Yeah.
I thought I had it all down. I'm like, I'm independent, I'm making money, I don't need a man. I am good to go. Like my future, my career, everything is great. Like I got a dog, I'm fine. So
Classic modern, like millennial Zoomer. Just like, I got everything. I got money and a
What
computer and a
else?
dog. What else do I?
Facts, I drive a Porsche, like this is great. So
And again, you could see her just outright admitting her rampant materialism, where she basically admits to only caring about her material objects. And not only that, like all throughout this interview, she's constantly talking about material objects and material things. And I didn't leave this clip in, but she says that she met the guy that got her into OnlyFans because she connected with him over the watch that he was wearing at some party or whatever. And like, she's a very materialistic person, you know? It's very obvious when you watch the interview. Mr. Knowles just makes the excuse of, oh, it's just, you know, the classic modern millennial Zoomer attitude, blah, blah, blah. Without even 1 second realizing that she hasn't changed one bit, Michael. She hasn't changed her name. Nala is not her real name. She hasn't changed her hair. That's still her fake hair color. She's still wearing those fake ass eyelashes, and there's 3.5 pounds of makeup on her face. So don't tell me this girl's changed, because she hasn't changed one bit. I will put money down on anyone who wants to bet against me that she will not reactivate her OnlyFans, because I guarantee you before that month or that 3-month waiting period is up, she will reactivate it, and because she's not going to lose that. That's her cash cow.
I started only, I was doing it all by myself, and I made like $85,000 the first month. I had worked my butt off for a month, and I knew that I wanted to create content on TikTok, on Instagram. I just like, I'm
Content or just any
just
kind?
content. Like I'm a creative person,
Yeah.
and I wanted to make videos for TikTok. I wanted to quit my job because my job at the time in orthopedics was going nowhere. I was not getting promoted. I was just kind of in the same spot that I was like 2.5 years ago. And I was so disappointed in that because I know I'm like a leader. I know I'm like supposed to be the CEO. I just know, like I feel it in my bones.
When
Oh, she just knows she's supposed to be the leader because, you know, she just feels it in her bones, you know. She's just supposed to be the one in the back with the clipboard calling the shots while God's on the stage doing the show, you know, because she's a leader. She's supposed to be in charge. She's supposed to be leading. And that's what Mr. Knowles does right here. Instead of making this girl learn some damn humility, he's putting her up on a pedestal and giving her a giant platform to preach to all the Christians about how she's reformed, when anyone who pays attention to her and her online presence knows that she's not. She's very much not. This is a marketing scam, ladies and gentlemen. This is what this woman is doing. This is a marketing scam. Because once her husband realizes what he's gotten himself into, that relationship isn't going to last forever. That marriage is not going to last very long, guys. That's eventually going to end. And when that That marriage ends, she's going to go right back to OnlyFans. That's the only thing she knows how to do now. That's the only thing she's good for. It's the only way that she knows how to make a living. She has no choice. She's trapped in the cycle now.
What the median income on OnlyFans is like $300 or something a month.
Something
Or
like that.
I think maybe even lower than that.
Yeah.
What was it about you that was able to make, annualized like $1 million a year?
The biggest
Starting out for day one.
So the biggest thing I think that changed my own career was that I had a niche in the system. One, I have red hair. Two, I'm a gamer. Three, I love anime. And I'm a cosplayer. So I put all of that energy into creating Nala.
You're a weeb.
I'm a weeb.
Is that what it is?
Hardcore
that
weeb.
so I learned that term because
Yeah, it's funny because this girl tries to, take credit for this whole like genius marketing ploy and act like she's the one that came up with it and created it when actually she's managed by a management company. And this ploy that she's doing, it's literally a marketing tactic that these management companies literally coach and encourage these women to do because this is a great way for them to make money. And, part of the reason I know about this, I used to manage OnlyFans models, okay? Like, I have this insider information. I know how this works behind the scenes, and this is all a joke. Like, I could see one of these marketing scams from a mile away. That's why I thought this interview was fake and made by AI when I first saw it pop up on the clips in the internet, was because this woman's over here trying to act like she created this whole marketing strategy. Like, I'm sorry. You want the inside scoop of what it actually was? At the time that she got into the industry, those things that she just listed, those were just the most popular trending categories on Pornhub. How do I know this? Because right around that same time, my ex-fiance was also on OnlyFans. She was doing the same things. Like, this was what was popular at the time. She's not any special or any different from anyone else. She just got in good with a good marketing team, got a good manager, and then played the marketing game, because that's all this is. It's just a social media hype marketing game. And in case you're wondering why I'm not just managing OF models now, it's because I'm not okay with being a pimp, even if that's just a digital pimp. But I am thankful for the time that I did spend in the industry, because it taught me a lot about how a lot of this social media stuff works, and how much of what people think is real is actually just a social media stunt to get views and clicks and likes and drama. Like, it's all just a game to get views. Like, and this girl Nala is playing Michael Knowles like a fiddle because she's gonna pretend to go Christian when anyone paying attention to her knows she's not Christian. You guys know that there's actually pictures of her on her Instagram at a corporate headquarters of one of the management companies that manages her. This was after she got baptized, guys. She's had 4 months since she was baptized until this interview, and she did not stop making money off of her OnlyFans until 24 hours before this interview went live. I'm telling you guys, this is a marketing scam.
you said you were going to move to California.
I was in Florida at the time.
But
I was
why
gonna
did you
move
want to just
because
for
my business had started growing.
Got it.
And I didn't want to be near my family while I was doing this. I wanted to keep it all separate. And I felt like a big fish in a little pond. In Florida, I did, and I wanted to be a little fish in a big pond.
Yeah.
So just to network and see where it went. But again, I told you, like, I'm a leader. Like, whatever I try to put my time and energy into, I do it 100%, and I will go hard. So what happened was, like, my parents kind of disowned me, and like I stopped talking to all my siblings, and it broke me.
Not to bring up a bad memory, but
okay.
you sort of seem to gloss over that a bit. You say, and so my parents disowned me, and this, but that sounds like catastrophic. I mean,
Oh, really, Mr. Knowles? That sounds catastrophic. Well, I mean, I think we kind of already know why it happened. So, I mean, are you saying that her parents shouldn't have disowned her? Because, I mean, what would good parents have done when their daughter turns herself into a prostitute for all of the world to see? Because being an internet whore is worse than just being a regular whore, because there's a permanent record of that forever. It will never go away. No matter if you delete it all, somebody somewhere on the internet still saved some clips from it, so you will never get rid of all of it. It's just ridiculous, though, that the softball question, oh, something went wrong? Like, oh my God. Like, and I want y'all to notice the difference between the interview that Mr. Knowles did with Pearl versus the interview that he did with Nala. In the interview with Pearl, it was about 50-50 of Michael and Pearl talking. And in this interview, it's like 80 Nala, 20 Knowles.
It was, we had this like final talk the day before I left for California. And we were just out on my porch in my apartment. And my mom didn't say a word to me the whole time when I was, like, they knew I was moving the next day, but didn't say anything to me, wouldn't even look at me. And my dad was just kind of like trying to come to terms with it verbally, but I wasn't saying anything because I was like, I don't know what you're trying to work out here, but I don't like know what you want me to say. Like, I know you disapprove. I just want to know if you still love me.
Yeah.
But I didn't ask that directly. But the one thing that my mom said before they walked out the door was just like, I hope you're happy in your endeavors. And then just left. And it broke my heart, truly.
Ooh.
So.
But she must have been in some immense pain.
Absolutely.
Probably felt a bit of guilt. Oh.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's a very dreadful thing all around. And of course, they probably felt a bit of guilt because they're thinking of, their own actions, and it kind of leads to this. And so what do you say? Can I get your tissue?
Yeah, thank
Sure.
you. I think the biggest thing is that I've never really dove into that feeling, never talked about this, because again, it was just something I was like, I can't even deal with this. I can't think about it.
Yep.
It is hurtful to think that your parents actually do have like a line drawn in the sand to what they will accept and not accept, and will they actually like love you past a certain point. And I guess that answer was kind of no.
Do you think it was no, though, or do you think they were just kind of
I kind of think that because I went 3 years without speaking to my mom. Like, there was absolutely no communication, and except for she did send me a letter, like an email, that was just saying that I had drifted far from God and that this wasn't his purpose for my life. And I was like, okay, thanks, appreciate that. Like, that's great. I was very hurt by that because it just didn't feel real. I didn't feel like she was being real with me. I felt like she was judging me.
I mean, what else were her parents supposed to do in that moment? Like, they literally found out that day, the day before she was moving, that she is like this massive raging whore on the internet. And they found out because they were having dinner at a restaurant, and a waiter came up because he recognized her and asked, "Are you Nala Ray?" And then her mom Googled her name and found out who she was. And I don't know about you guys, but the crying here just came across as so fake to me. Like, it's just unreal. Like, people seem to forget that, like, these girls are actors. Like, their entire job is selling a lie. They pretend like something is true to sell their content. Everything about them is selling a lie. That's their entire business. So if you think these girls can't cry on command, then like you are wrong, because like from personal experience, I would say 70 to 80% of them can do it, if not all of them. Granted, it's not really a common question that you ask women that you meet, can you cry on command? But of the OnlyFans models that I did meet, almost all of them could. Notice how she says she's never, she says, and I quote, "I never dove into that feeling. I've never talked about this." I wonder why that is, Nala. Maybe the reason you can't face this is because you are the reason for all of these wrongs, and you cannot face the fact that you're the one that caused all of this pain. You did all of this to yourself and your family, and there's no one left to blame but you. And then, of course, we have Mr. Knowles over here just pushing the blame off to someone or something else because, we've got our white knight over here, Mr. Michael Knowles. She says it's hurtful that your parents have a line drawn in the sand. It's like she doesn't understand that the only unconditional love is love from God. All love from humans is conditional. Because think about it, while a mother might love her child, a mother does not love a child that is not her own child as much as she loves her child. And once you do things that are so horrific in the eyes of your mother that she no longer sees you as her own child, else do you expect her to react? I mean, not only that, like what would a good parent do? A good parent is supposed to cut you off. They are supposed to tell you like that you're not doing right. But I mean, she said that her mom just said, "I hope you're happy with your endeavors." And it's like, well, yeah, because she said earlier she was the rebellious type that if you told her not to do something, she would just do it 10 times harder. So what else was your mother supposed to say? It's the only thing she could say where she knows that you're not going to fight her against it. Like, and I don't know about you, but this family situation that she's been laying out where I see is she's the one who broke her family. I really do think she's the reason her parents got divorced twice, is because they just, like, she was so stressful of a child to raise that it literally broke apart a family twice. But according to Mr. Knowles, this clown over here with the red hair is not the source of any of the problems in her life. She is merely just the victim. Believe Mr. White Knight, Mr. Knowles.
Do you think there's anything your parents could have said that would have gotten you not to do it?
Absolutely. I said that in my last interview as well. Like, if you could go back and if someone could have said something to you, would you have changed your mind? And the answer is 1,000,000%, because I know how I react to love, to true love. Like, I feel the genuinenity in it. I feel
close
that.
enough, I think. Yeah.
Yes, I feel like if somebody, I don't know who, but a friend or a boyfriend or my parents or one of my siblings could have sat me down and didn't say anything elaborate, but just, hey, like, this is not it. Like, expressed the warning in this, like, warned me in any manner, because I didn't know anyone in the field, nobody in only yet. I'd only just kind of had people around me that were in my previous life, and that was it. But I didn't have any friends.
She a liar. Don't believe it. Don't believe a word out of her mouth. She a liar. First of all, she never gave her family an opportunity to tell her not to do it because, as she stated earlier, her family found out about all of that literally less than 24 hours before she was leaving the state to go halfway across the country. So, yeah, of course your parents didn't really say much about it because, like, they were still trying to process what was happening by the time you were already halfway across the country. And not only that, like, she stated earlier that she's the rebellious type, and she doesn't take no for an answer very well. She doesn't do good with boundaries and borders. Well, notice how she's like contradicting again what she said earlier, and that she totally wouldn't have done this if somebody had told her, no, stop, don't do this. This is bad. This is wrong, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, earlier she's saying like, oh, I'm the rebellious type. You tell me no, I'm going to do it anyways. Like, I don't do good with boundaries and borders and blah, blah, blah. It's like, bro, Mr. Knowles, how do you not put this together and realize this girl is literally, like, in psychology, this tactic, what she's doing is called mirroring. And she's literally just mirroring back to Mr. Knowles whatever she perceives that he wants her to be like. And if you're interested in psychology, like, I really highly recommend watching the full interview through, because you can really see some of the deeper inner workings of her psychology on full display. And at least from a technical perspective, it's really interesting just to study, but it's also just a good thing to learn as a man if you're looking for a woman, because you need to know how to avoid these types of women. These are predatory women. And I'd like to point out how she says a lot of that if somebody had warned her of, what she was truly getting herself involved into, that she wouldn't have done it, basically. And I'd just like to make this note that she's on Michael Knowles' show getting interviewed by him for 2.5 hours straight. And not even once does she even mention any of the reasons or give any warnings as to why you shouldn't get involved into this type of lifestyle that she's involved herself into. And, I just think it's absurd and ridiculous because, I could list like 10 reasons off the top of my head right now why you shouldn't do this. And I was never involved in it anywhere as deep as she was. But she spoke with Mr. Knowles for 2.5 hours and couldn't even mention one reason why you shouldn't do it. And didn't even give one warning to all the younger women out there watching this thinking, Oh, so you mean to tell me I can just go and be a giant whore and go and get the bag on OnlyFans and then end up with a good Christian husband who's going to take care of me at the end anyways?
So after that significant thing happened with my parents, I started, and it was only with my partner. And I do want to clarify something, not that it matters, but I get frustrated at the people on the internet saying like, oh, you have so many bodies. In the 5 years that I was on OnlyFans, I literally slept with 3 people, and 2 of those were my partners. Like I was in relationship with them for over a year. So because 2 of them did only.
I'm sorry, but you got to be a fool to believe the words that are coming out of her mouth. You mean to tell me that this woman has a body count of 3 from the whole time she was filming? No, that's the lies. And while I might not be willing to go and find you the picture evidence to prove her wrong, you can go and look for yourself if you don't believe me. But I have very credible sources that have proven to me that no, it's actually much more than 3, because there's videos of her taking 2 men at the same time. And you mean to tell me that your body count is only 3? I don't believe you for a second. Because let's do the math here. Okay, so she had 2 boyfriends and then another, like, I guess, like, hookup, probably like a situationship where they were hooking up for a while. So she claims she has 3 bodies. Okay, well, for her to be able to film with 2 different dudes at the same time, that means she either had to film with her current boyfriend and her ex-boyfriend, or she had to film with her current boyfriend and the situationship dude, or she was in the situationship and then hooked up with one of her exes and her situationship dude at the same time. I mean, I don't really buy that, especially since I have other sources that also confirm that, like you can look at a man's meat and pretty much tell if it's the same dude or not, because, kind of like fingerprints, no 2 meats are the same. If you know, you know. I shouldn't have to explain anymore. And yeah, I have multiple other sources that are very trustworthy that have confirmed that no, her body count is very, very, very high, possibly triple digits. Nobody really knows for sure. She probably doesn't even know for sure. And the funniest part about this is, it's like, Nala, darling, baby girl, we do not care to hear the lies that you told your husband, because one day somebody's going to send him all those videos of you getting pegged by all those dudes, and eventually he's going to snap and he's not going to be able to take it anymore. Just wait. We probably won't have to wait long. The average marriage is 7 years, so I'd say 7 years or less, they'll be divorced.
You racked up a lower body count than probably the average American undergraduate in that period of time.
That's what I'm saying. So I was never about like sleeping around, but my image online needed to be that, so
Right.
that other people, so the people that buy my content are what? Men. Men, if they think that they have a chance with me, they'll buy my content because they just want to speak to me, right? So I'm really good at marketing myself in that manner to think that they could potentially have a chance with me. I never marketed that I had a boyfriend. It was just people I was sleeping with. And that's how I would market my OnlyFans in the messages. It was like, oh, I met this guy at the bar. It's my boyfriend.
Right.
Oh, I met this guy at the mall. It's my boyfriend. But most of the time they wouldn't show their faces, so you really couldn't tell. So I'm a genius at marketing that way. I really was.
She's a genius at marketing that way. She's the only one. Lies. My ex-fiance was doing that in 2016. Are you telling me my ex-fiance is this like super genius that came up with this amazing marketing strategy like years before Nala ever came up with it? Or is this just how the industry works? Because from my level of understanding, this is just how the industry works. And she's actually not a genius. She's an idiot, and she's just a pawn being played by her marketing agency and by her manager, because that's what, like, they call them managers, but they're just digital pimps. That's all they are. I would know. I was one. Mr. Knowles' soggy biscuit lame excuse of, oh, you racked up a lower body count than the average undergraduate, blah, blah, blah. Like, Mr. Knowles, you are a giant raging fool, sir. This is why nobody should take you seriously after this, because, like, how are you falling for this garbage, man? Like, I thought you were smarter than this.
Have a proper marriage, but you couldn't do it but you would have to quit only. You couldn't do it while you're
Absolutely. Like, if I was a husband and my wife was on only, I'd be
It'd be insane.
shocked.
It'd be insane. Yeah.
It would be the insecurities that door brings for a husband.
And the
a
husband
wife.
becomes a pimp. He's just a pimp, basically.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
And that's like, you're encouraging it because what? Your wife's making you money? Is
Yeah.
money really that important?
Right.
It was to me then, but oh my gosh, my viewpoints have changed so much since then.
Oh, really, Nala? Oh, really? Your viewpoints have changed so much since then that at the time that this interview was filmed, you were still selling your OnlyFans content and profiting off of it. It was not until 24 hours before this interview went live on the internet that you actually deactivated your account. And we all know that's just a temporary account deactivation so that you don't get a whole bunch of hate from a whole bunch of Christians saying, she hasn't changed. Because now you're like, I deleted my account. You deleted it 24. You were literally collecting money at the time that this interview was filmed. Every word coming out of your mouth is a lie, you snake. And like, I can't believe Michael Knowles is so stupid that he didn't even think to check if any of what she was saying was true. Not only that, in the 2.5-hour interview with her, there was multiple red flags all throughout the interview of like possible reasons why her life has gone to complete shit. Well, not possible, probable reasons as to why her life has gone to complete shit and are probably part of the puzzle that explains why her life has gone this way. And Mr. Knowles just, digs up that treasure trove and then puts it right back where it was and covers it back up with dirt. It's like, nope. No need to look there. It just makes my brain hurt, man. This level of stupidity. Like, I can't watch this much stupid in a day without it actually affecting my mental well-being. Like, I have a legitimate headache from this at this point because, I had to watch the interview and then to react to it, I had to watch the interview again. And I also had to watch it a third time to make the clips to react to. So, yeah, guys, this one was a hard one to make, and we're only halfway done because the rebuttal video that Pearl made to this interview is also 2 hours long. So that'll be coming out at some point. And Pearl brought all the receipts for all of the things. It literally proves that 90 to 95% of the words out of this woman's mouth are a provable lie. And at that point, I would say it's just safe to say everything she said was a lie because, at that point, like, if you've got 90 to 95% of what she said as a proven lie, then you might as well just go ahead, call it safe, and assume that everything's a lie until proven otherwise. And it just baffles me how the Christians don't see through this facade, through this charade. It just baffles me. I don't understand how you guys can be so ignorant to this. Like, I understand y'all don't know how OnlyFans works or really how influencers work like that, but like, surely you have to see that this girl is not serious about her conversion to Christ. She was selling her OnlyFans for 4 months after her baptism, and she only stopped because this interview went live on the internet. She was still selling it when she filmed this interview. And people wonder why nobody takes the church seriously anymore. But yeah, guys, make sure you leave a like and a subscribe to this channel to let me know that you enjoyed my suffering through all of this. Make it worth my while. Come on, give me that like. And don't forget to follow me on Rumble.